So hi, Hader, pleased to have you on the call. It's great to catch up with you. So we've got Day in the Life today, and a Day in the Life webinar is all about sharing our stories of mums that have graduated on our courses and like what they're doing now work-wise. And I had the pleasure of spending more time with Ada when we had a Supermums retreat, didn't we, last year, Ada? And
yeah,
it was
that was fun.
it was brilliant.
We need another retreat.
I know.
Out from isolation.
I know, it was absolutely awesome. So that was in February, wasn't it? I did really feel like, it's so long ago. So we had a really lovely few days. There's a few of us that went, so we got to know Ada really well then. But also since Ada's finished the course, you did a couple of contracts that we placed you in, working actually with economic change on a specific contract, and then we placed you in another charity doing another piece of project management work for an implementation using the Fontiva product, which is like membership product. And then since then you were offered some work with the consultancy that you were working with at the time. So the whole point of Day in the Life really, Ada, is to share, I suppose, the work that you're doing now, or you have been doing since you finished the course, just to give people a flavour of what you've been doing, what's been involved, what experience you've had, and then we'll just reflect back a bit about the course after that, if that's okay.
So good evening, everyone. I'm not sure if you can see me. I can see there's still the screen, but anyway, my camera is on just in case. So I think I just mentioned that since the course has been finished, everything just came so fast. So when I started the course, my youngest was 6 months old, and now she just turned 3. And since the course has finished, it just seems like I went from different experience to different experience. And now working as a project manager and managing 4 different projects at the same time, all Salesforce, some Pardo and Fontiva, it just feels a bit surreal, but I'm enjoying it so much because it just gives me, I feel that I'm growing every single day because I'm learning so much with the different project, with the different clients. And also in terms of how to project manage and manage budget, burn, and just learning a bit of the different products as well on how they are working. But at the moment, I'm doing that more from a high level perspective compared to when I did some consultancy work. So I think maybe that will be a different things for me to do, just to go back and do some of the trailheads as well, to get a bit more familiar with some of the products that I haven't used before, such as Pardo.
So you've done some hands-on contracts where you've actually had to do the technical bit, and then when you were at Advice UK, what were you doing there? Were you doing some hands-on technical bit, or just, I suppose, elaborate a little bit so people can understand, or what does a typical job look like in those different areas? Because you've had quite a variety, which is nice.
Yes, absolutely. So Advice UK was a brilliant experience because it wasn't just project managing, but it was also a bit operational and also doing some technical, almost like being a lead consultant even within the charity, because I knew how to build different things. So I was helping out and actually doing some of the design to ensure that the requirements are met, what we need, because there were some different so to say blocking elements that some people went off on paternity leave, coming back, and some of the design had to be adjusted. And I think it just really gave really good experience for me as well, is just managing the different stakeholders, but also having that technical background that I'm able to go in and actually present something that in the sandbox that is actually reflects what we need and how it needs to look. So yes, the technical element was really important, and a lot of it is actually I learned on the course when we had all the hands-on experience as well, and also during the homeworks that we always got on the course, doing the layouts, building different bits, where to put, where the fields, how they are working, validation rules, and so on.
Fantastic. So how did you work with the consultancy there that you're working obviously for now? Like, how did that balance work? Because I think it's a really nice situation, I believe, for a supermum to go into an organisation where it's not all on your shoulders. Technically, you've kind of got another consultancy there who's like the specialist doing sort of another area. So what was their role in it, and how did you
Yeah,
sort
the
of support that?
consultancy company was doing most of the work, but as you know, with consultancy companies, there's always like, once you have the design is signed off, and after UAT, you're not really doing that much changes. And what has happened is, so once the UAT has happened and then everything has been signed off, we went to live, some things have shifted, because especially because someone came back from paternity leave, and it worked out that some elements that wasn't really a priority at the time, so it would have been more like a phase 2 part. They wanted some work to be done there, because midway, as it happens sometimes in projects, it has been decided that there is also data migration that was not in the first place, and migrating historical data is quite difficult, especially into a new system that wasn't really built to hold historical legacy data in the beginning. So we had to do some flexing, and I stepped up really just to ensure that we are saving time and money on effort for the charity, and also that to ensure that the consultancy company can then concentrate on mapping and working on the data migration.
Right, fantastic. It's always fun job, data migration, isn't it? A bit I most dislike. Great. So in terms of where you are now, you sort of implied that you're not doing technical stuff, but you're more doing a project management role. So what does that look like?
So yes, it was quite a fun thing just to step into, again, like doing a different part of the project managing in a way, from a consultancy company perspective, actually, to go to recovery session, writing up requirements, then ensuring, then building the project plan on what they want to achieve, and also ensuring that the project charter is ready, there is the project plan, there is the change management tracker, the RAID log, there's the risk, issues, actions, and the decisions, and then impact tracker, and then trying to do different reports, like field reports on how we are doing in terms of day burns compared to what was in the statement on work, and how much time have we actually spent on it, and how much effort has gone into it. So what is the burn down on the project? So it's quite interesting in building this type of executive type of reporting, and then working with the lead consultant very closely actually on how the project plan should look like, because it needs to reflect how we are building as well, and which areas we are building, because there might be dependencies. So I think some knowledge is helpful, that I can work closely with the lead consultant, so I understand what they are talking about, but I also understand what the client is talking about, so I can translate that.
Yeah, it's handy. I think it's really handy for a project manager to have that technical knowledge, because you can understand, like you say, what they're talking about.
Especially with Salesforce and like cloud systems and agile projects, because they are working a bit different than lean projects. So I definitely think that's really important.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And so where do you want to go next? Like where do you see your role kind of expanding to, in terms of where you are now? Because you said about going back to Trailhead and learning some products.
Yes, I think it's more just to have that background. So when we are talking about different products, I actually have quite a lot of understanding as well, because I think that also makes it easier in terms of building the project plan and trying to put efforts against the build to ensure that we are on track. But at the moment, because I started here in February, so I'm really enjoying and actually learning the reporting element in managing multiple projects at the same time. Because before I was always working on one project, so having 4 projects and then trying to juggle that, and then how it works, and having the weekly catch-ups, weekly reporting, this and that, etc. I'm quite enjoying it. There's quite a lot still for me to learn.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's the day in the life of a smaller consultancy, isn't it? I think you tend to have that juggle. So how are you working flexibly now? Like, are you managed to work from home still? Is it part-time or is it full-time? What's your...
Yeah, so I was really lucky, because even with all the work that I was doing through economic change, I was able to do a lot of the work from home. and sometimes going into the charity, which was always really, really nice as well, just meeting the client face to face, just building that relationship and rapport.
Yeah.
And then also in Advice UK, I was able to go in once a week. And at the moment, because of the coronavirus and what is happening, I haven't been able to meet my team fully. So usually we are meeting in the morning virtually.
Right.
So that's a immediately catch up. I met some of the lead consultants separately, but in different capacity, but never all together.
Okay, cool.
So I think
it'll happen one day.
Yeah, one day. The idea is that usually they are working in an open office, and everyone goes in once a week. Okay. So they're trying to meet up. So that is the idea. I'm not sure when that is going to happen. It might be in a couple of months. We might be able to do that. At the moment, I'm fully working from home and part-time.
Okay, awesome. And is it the project manager role, apart from going into the office one day a week, is it remote for project management as well? Pretty much?
Yes. I have met one client because it's more for being there for the kickoff and the discovery, just good to go through and explain to the project team from a client perspective as well on what the expectation is when we have the discovery sessions from the team, and also just to ensure that they understand the tools we are using and how we are managing the project. So what are the different steps? So I think for that it's quite nice to be there. However, we just had one project now where everything is going to be remote because everything just kicked off at the time where we had a virtual kickoff meeting, and now the discovery sessions are happening. So yeah.
Awesome. Oh, it's really good to hear. And what's really nice actually about where you've gone to work is they've got 2 other Supermums that work there as well, haven't they?
Yes, it's so nice. Yeah.
So you've got a little posse. So the guy that runs the consultancy, his wife did the course, and then another lady that the consultancy had worked with from another non-profit went to work for them. So it's quite nice that you've got a little gang and a company.
They're really good. They're all doing the configurations, so they're like brilliant. So it's really nice just to work together. And it's actually for us, I think it's for a consulting company working virtually, it's not such a surprise. What I have seen is actually for the clients, it's a bigger change, especially for some of the charities who we just had to really quickly adapt just to getting used to it. I think they are getting there pretty quickly, but that initial kick that they had to move everything to remote working was a bit challenging in the beginning.
Yeah, sure. So can you share your background actually, Ada, with people just to know where you came from before you did the course?
Yeah, so before I did the course, I used to work for an alcohol company called the IGO. So I was an HRIS analyst. So I was already working with systems. I started with HR systems, SAP. And then once the company decided to move on to cloud-based applications, I got involved with mainly the learning management aspect of the system, and that was also cloud-based. And later on, being an HRIS analyst, I moved on to being the specialist for that system, managing smaller projects and also doing configuration where it was required, and then putting different documentations together. And later I moved into the IT department, which was more being the system owner. That role was a bit different to being the system specialist, because the system specialist is more involved with the business requirements, and the system lead is more involved in more from a holistical, bigger picture element of what the business needs in terms of what the company can work and how that system fits into the ecosystem. Because usually a big company with the 20,000+ employees have quite a lot of different systems working together, so the infrastructure is different. So once I got used to that, actually later on they have moved all the IT department to India, to Bangalore, to a shared services center.
Right.
And then I was made redundant, but I was also pregnant at the time. So once I gave birth and my contract has finished with the company and I was made redundant, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. We had some involvement with Salesforce, and I quite liked the idea. And another colleague who was being made redundant, and she's actually a super mom, Angelie.
You got a few of them doing the course.
Yeah. She was the one like, hey, I have been invited to this event to the Salesforce Tower. Do you fancy to come with me? And I was at home, like my 6 months. So I was like, actually, I need to go out and just do something. So it was great catching up with her. And then I met you, I think Deborah as well. And then I think I signed up literally the next day, because it was just before the September class kicked on. Well, I think it was in November, or maybe it was the November when I joined.
Yeah, was it the graduation event you came to?
Yes, I think it was the first graduation event.
Yeah, awesome.
I actually think Sally was there as well, one of the Supermums who I'm working with. I think she was maybe graduating as well.
Yeah. And Angela's really good at going out to events as well. Like I've met her at quite a few events.
Yeah, she loves going to events.
Yeah, and I think it's really valuable. Like I'm not very good at going out to events myself, actually. It's like more like, but I think it's good when you've got somebody there to kind of encourage you to go along. And I think that's
it was really good.
It's been really nice with the Supermums, because it means you've got people to meet there. You can sort of meet up with them, and you've got other people to go to events with. I mean, Deborah goes to quite a few, like the admin, and I think the Women in Tech one as well now. So it's good that you've got that community.
I haven't actually looked back since, because I was just thinking about that. Since I started the course, I haven't actually really stopped, because I did the graduation and I did the experience. And then because I wanted a bit more experience, I think I volunteered to a project where one of the Supermums had to drop out because she got a job in the meantime.
Yeah.
So I also volunteered. I did that project, and there was another opportunity coming up with economic change. I did that, and then on the back of that came the Advice UK opportunity, and then this opportunity I'm doing at the moment. So I was just thinking, I actually haven't stopped.
Yeah.
We're always doing something.
And I think it's a really nice format, and it's something we encourage other Supermums to do sometimes, is get a few contracts, because I think people want that perm, but the reality is sometimes it's easier, and as you say, can be sort of more ready to get a few contracts under your belt, because then you're more likely to get the perm employment as well. So it is taking a little bit of a risk, obviously, because I think some people kind of want, I need that permanent job, but sometimes it's hard to get in the door when you haven't necessarily had.
I think that really helped me. Yes, I agree, because I was able to do different experiences and doing different parts of the job, and it just really gave me the exposure I needed to understand how it works and where I would like to be, and where I think my skills are valuable.
Absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just thinking that it was a bit of a risk. I know, I think Victoria called me like, oh, there's this project manager role. And I was actually scared, because like, am I a project manager? You're doubting yourself. And it was so nice. It's like, oh, I think you would be good for that. Why didn't you go for it? And then I read the spec. It's like, why shouldn't I? And then I applied for it and I got it. And before, I wouldn't have gone for a project manager role. I wouldn't have had the confidence. So that was actually really good.
Yeah, and the consultancy must have been really impressed with you, hey, because they offered you a role,
Thank you. I was so that was like actually be like, oh, that was also a bit of a surprise, because sometimes you're just not expecting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's an amazing compliment to be offered a role. So you obviously did a brilliant job. So well done. Got somebody else joining. It keeps asking me to admit people. So where you've been previously, you've obviously had some good transferable skills, though. You've obviously different systems, but sort of planning them and sort of helping implement other systems. So that obviously lent nicely to you learning about Salesforce. So you signed up and did the course. How did you find the course and the work experience? What did you most value about the course, I suppose? And how did it sort of come together for you?
I really enjoyed the homework element, actually, and also I really like that we caught up every single week. That was so helpful, because I was able to get some structure in. So I have, at the time I had an under 3 and a newborn baby at home when I did the course. So just being home, being with the kids, and just having that structure, trying to put something in that's not really working, but almost setting it up as a work week. So I tried to like block some time out and then make schedule on how the children could be having fun while I have this time for myself. I really find that valuable. Also talking to the other moms, the course, it was really nice. Yeah, just having the course, and then the homework. I really enjoyed the hands-on experience, like having the homework and having my own playground basically to do my own building, and trying different things on how that works out. And sometimes making mistakes because I didn't tick something, but then you're learning from your mistakes if you're doing something wrong, but then you can go back and just fix it.
Yeah, you're always going to have the rookie errors, like we've all been there.
Yeah, but it's really funny that some of the errors that I've made, and I know I did them and I remember, so they come up, and actually I know where to go and fix it, while some people might not know, even if they have used Salesforce before, because they never actually experienced the error before. So it's really funny that just some things that just stays with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And with the get together on weekly occasions, why was that valuable for you? I suppose, was it about accountability, or was it just about connection? What was the...
I think accountability as well, because I was there and I knew that the teacher is going to see what has been achieved, and also I knew that I need to do it for myself, and if I'm falling behind, I'm not going to finish, because then it just piles up. So I just wanted to get that, no, I need to go on there and let's do it. And it happened a couple of occasions that for different reasons I wasn't able to do it, but I made sure that actually I re-listened to the webinars, because they were always recorded, which was brilliant, because then I could just go back and just re-listen to it. And even for the homework, sometimes I re-listen to the webinar, so to remember what has been actually explained and demonstrated. So I think that was actually very valuable. It's just like trying to make myself accountable, not just to others, but to myself, that I'm owing myself to invest in a way, just to build my skills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's what stands the course apart from like Trailhead, for example, because I think Trailhead's quite relatively easy to pass questions and do the quizzes. Like, it's not super badges, obviously a little bit more challenging, but I think what we aim to do in the course is give you like a real life case study where you've got to actually build stuff out for a theoretical client, and us checking it means that we've quality checked your work, and if you've not done it right, we support and kind of keep you going through that process.
It also gives that life cycle of the client, like always using the same client, because you're just trying to think back, okay, what does that client would want to do and how that would work, because that just gives a bit of an insight on if you would work for a company, because it would be very similar. Like you would have a client, they have different processes, different people are doing different things, like how can the system support them?
Yeah, you're not being spoon fed, are you, really? When you're in a role, you've suddenly got to kind of work it out yourself.
Yeah.
Do that. So reflecting back, I was going to the other questions here. Have you you passed how did you find passing the admin exam after the course? I don't know how quickly you did it.
That was I paused it a few months. That was actually scary for me, because it was just, I found myself, okay, I need to pass the exam, but I was a bit worried about it. And actually I admit I failed the first time, and it would have been although I felt I'm going to fail, I think if I would have waited a couple of weeks, it would have been better for me. For my learning style, doing loads of tests works better. Also I did it then virtually, because I think that was my added stress, that I had to travel to the center and do the exam and then come back home. And then sorting out childcare, who can work out. And I think the stress of, actually, it wasn't even the exam, I think it was actually the stress of the childcare, sorting it out. How long do I have to like do the exam? I think it just really played on my mind. So once I did it virtually, I passed. So that was really good, because I was in my own calm space. What really helped is actually the study group. where we were doing exam questions. I think it was set up at the time by Deborah. I think it's still going.
Yeah, we still run that.
Yeah. I found that so valuable because we were exchanging, doing the quiz questions, exchanging some, explaining why that would be the answer, why something else is the answer, and just learning how they are phrasing the sentences as well, because they're always like trying to trick you.
Yeah, exactly. Read between the lines sort of scenario.
Yeah, and actually that was really good. Yeah.
And have you done any other certs since then, or is that what you're working towards next, doing another cert?
I couldn't really decide, so I'm still weighing up what would be good to do next and study for. I was thinking first of the app builder. However, I think I'm not too sure if I want to go down that route. So I'm still like weighing up. I'm not too sure if I should do a consultancy or one or not. But I'm still like jumping. I was thinking about also the developer one, but again, I think I'm not on that level of coding. That I would be able. So I think I still need to clear it down myself in myself on what I want to do.
I know. Book it in. You have to commit.
Yeah, I see that you're constantly doing it, because I was also thinking about the community, because everyone is always building community, and I'm involved in quite a lot of the community element, like with charities who are building communities. So I'm thinking like maybe this is something that I should learn a bit more about. So I need to think that through.
I think you need to put it into a hat and pull one out, because I can see that.
Yeah, it's like I want to do this one as well, that one as well, that one as well.
Yeah, we're never going to get there.
I might wait. My Salesforce is saying like everything is half price, all the certificates for like a week. Everyone is like goes in. Okay, let's just try this.
Yeah, you'll end up with like 6 in the next 5 months. I couldn't make up my mind, so I did them all. Awesome. And in terms of I lost my train of thought then on I suppose I know I was going to ask around how are you getting involved in the Salesforce ecosystem now? Like, do you get involved in the success groups, or do you attend events, or are you on Trailhead still? Like, how do you sort of keep in touch?
I will try to do more to catch up with some of the trailheads. I have been to the conference, but it was mainly through the Supermums group, really.
Yeah.
So it's mainly through you, because I now know quite a lot of Supermums who did the course. So it's more like you using it to catch up with everyone and see where everyone is.
Big get together. I'm really disappointed we're not going to get everybody together, because we had like 50 of us last year in May, and it
was great, because when I think I graduated, there weren't as many of us, and now when I went to support Anjali, because I think Anjali just graduated in September, and I was like, oh my god, there's like so many.
I know I'm disappointed we won't meet in May, but we'll have to do a virtual hangout, I think, instead. Get there. So what tips would you have for people listening, if they're kind of at their point now? I mean, I think we've got a mixture of people on the webinar, people who probably thinking about doing the course, or those on the course right now. What tips would you give people for getting to where you are now?
I think it's just taking some risks, to be honest. I think if you just try to make that first step, I think it can actually work out for you. I know it's daunting, but I'm now so happy that I actually dared to do it, if you get what I mean. It's because first I wasn't thinking, oh, could I be a configuration consultant? And then actually, why not? And I then did the course. And could I be then almost like doing a bit more on a project? Because then I was working with Dara, I think, and I actually was the main contact in a way for the client, trying to work with them. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. And then just doing always this one step forward and just like trying it. And I think they're so supportive. Everyone is so supportive. And actually just gave me that confidence as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really good. And the thing is, what you've said is so true for everybody, right? Like, we all think that when we start. Like, anybody who doesn't know Salesforce all thinks that, like, can I do this? It's always starting out. And I think what we encourage people to do now is do a couple of trailheads to kind of get familiar with like the learning platform at least. But it's you're exactly right. You've got to keep pushing yourself forward, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, I actually, if I don't know something, I many times go and try to find it on Trailhead and see what they are recommending. if I don't know the answer. So I say like, oh, can I come back to you? And actually I just go and just check it out on Google or on trailheads, and just like have that background information, so I'm then feel confident going back and try to answer the question. So I think you don't have to always answer everything at the same time. You can just say like, oh, could I please get like a day or just 5 minutes, just like think this through and just park it. But sometimes I think that's the other thing is like people get scared and they think they can't do it because they feel that they have to do it at that point. And actually you can say, actually just give me a bit of time, research it, and then you can do it. Do the course and everything.
That's so true. And again, that's just, you know, everybody should do that, because I think with Salesforce now, it's so vast and there's so much to think about all the time that there's you're never going to know everything. And the thing is, everything you learn for your exams, like you remember there, but I still don't remember it in my, you know, I don't retain it. So if you're like, how many fields can you track history on per object? I'm like, okay, I'll just go and Google that again. It's like you have to keep looking up and reminding yourself, you know, as long as you remember it for the exam, it's fine. But it's not always going to stay.
And also I think is just being part of the study group. So once I think the support that the course gave in terms of getting hands-on experience, it's very valuable, because as soon as you have work experience that you can show, because before I did not have this type of consultancy experience with Salesforce. So I felt when I had the different interviews that they were asking about it, and actually what Salesforce experience do you have, what type of other experience do you have. And as soon as I also got the qualifications, that's again that has increased the interest in me. So then being part of the study group to help me pass the exam, because I needed that support and that group, because otherwise I wouldn't have done it if it's just me studying at home. I'm not the type of person. I would have deferred it. So it was really good that everyone and all of us actually booked the exam in about a couple of days or weeks apart from each other. So we were able to support each other basically on how the exams went for each other. And so that was actually really, really good and really valuable. And I could see once I have passed and had my qualification, that when my CVs were sent out, there was a lot more interest coming back.
Yeah, that's so true. I think adding this study group onto the end was definitely a really good benefit, because we noticed when people had done the course, we kind of wanted people to book the exam at the end of the course, but then people kind of fell off because it was like summer holidays or whatever it was. And Deborah introducing those was a really good initiative.
It's scary. It's scary to do the exam, actually.
I think people put it off, and I think people react very differently to exams. You're absolutely right. Some people are really scared, whereas some people might be more competitive about it and be like, you know, we've had some people book it in even halfway through the 6 months, and we're like, what are you doing? It's like, just wait to the end. But they don't want to, you know, they want to do it. And I think it's a risk, because I think if you could do it halfway through the course, but you're not quite there yet. You know, I think doing the work experience really helps sort of cement everything properly in your mind, and helps sort of form the glue. So I think it's definitely worth doing it at the end of the course. But people respond so differently to sort of exams and doing that. And I agree around the work experience as well. I think if you can keep building up, because we were able to give you really great references as well, like the work you were doing was brilliant, and it means that, you know, because you were in different contracts, you kept getting that different diversity of experience, which is say, you know, to actually not have to apply for a job and be offered a job the next one, like, you know, hats off to you.
From a recruiting perspective, it was so helpful, because when I started to look for different roles, then you just see that everything is full-time or working from an office. So actually working with you with the recruiting part and just saying, actually, I'm looking for part-time and flexible, and mainly working from home. So it was really, really good, because then Victoria already knew what roles I'm interested in, and she can put me forward to. When actually with other agencies, or even just looking online, everything is office and this and that, and just I didn't really want to waste my time in applying for roles when actually I knew what I wanted and what I can give. And just going down the role, I knew that I can't do full time in an office, and I would prefer working from home.
Yeah. I mean, it's knowing who to approach, isn't it? Because there's certainly a lot of the placements we've been able to do, and charities tend to have part-time admins, and then the ISVs partners seem to have more remote working. And what's fascinating, given the situation we're in at the moment with COVID-19, is that actually everybody's having to shift to remote working, and it'd be really interesting to see how many consultancies, actually embrace that as a bit of a longer term strategy as well.
Yeah.
To support people, because I think there is different roles out there. And the other thing that I'm really interested to kind of really champion, I think, amongst our super mums, is a job share, because I think we've got a whole community now of 250 mums where if a job comes up that is full-time, pitching to them that there's a job share with fantastic women with complementary skills, I think is a really good opportunity. And that it shouldn't be that you can't go for a full-time role, but actually working together as a community, we can encourage that more. And I think we don't want to miss that trick, because there's been some really successful kind of opportunities. So
yeah, that would be great. Yes, because I think sometimes I wonder if now, because everything is moving now so fast remotely, and everyone needs to become technologically savvy as well, and just change the ways of working, that hopefully smaller companies will see the benefit of that. Because job share would be brilliant, even if you want full time, if you have two people who can work together as a team.
No, exactly. Right, we've got a few questions. If anybody wants to ask questions, let us know. Let's have a look. So how are they taking, so Samara is asking about how to take the exam with the current situation. Absolutely, it's possible to do the exam virtually now.
I did the exam virtually, actually. I think you just need just check out what is required. When I did it, I needed an extra camera, webcam camera that had to be set up so they can see a bit my surroundings as well. And you have to have your sound on, because they are actually listening in. So they are watching you how you're doing. You can't have any paper, pen, or anything around you, and then you're doing the exam. I actually find it quite good, because I found my corner. I wanted to do the exam, and I was calmed down. And the good thing is that if you're scared, you can actually reschedule it, I think, a couple of minutes before as well.
Oh, really?
But the way I did it, I did the practice test, and I was saying, if I pass, I'm booking this in now to do it for real. And I paused the practice exam dates available on Web Assessor, and then immediately after, I think an hour later, I was doing the real exam, and I paused. So so that it can work both ways.
They're absolutely. So you're right, you can take it virtually normally, but with the situation we're in now with COVID-19, they've allowed it to do a webcam as well only. So they are relaxing that absolutely at the moment. So great. So we've got another question. So how did you get matched to a mentor, and how long for? So as part of Supermums, we match people to a mentor throughout the 6 months now. And what the mentor is responsible for doing is spending on average either 1 hour or 2 hours with you per week, checking your practical work and checking that you've done it and ticking it off. So they have to submit a homework record to us to tell us that you've successfully done work within a dev org, it's called, and you build out the dev org and you tick everything off and move it through. So Ada, were you matched to a mentor, an external mentor, or did you have an economic change mentor?
I think we had just had Cloda at the time.
Chloe, because we did all the mentoring when we had a smaller cohort, because I think was there 6 or 7 on your cohort?
Yes, there wasn't as many of us, so it was it was fairly different, I think.
So we in the early days when we had a few of you, we did the mentoring internally to see how it all went, and now we have mentors. We have over 90 mentors from across the ecosystem. So the mentors have at least 2 hands-on admin experience. And we've had some really lovely feedback from the mentors, because they've all got industry experience as well. So they bring a lot to the table. And it's really important for us, that quality assurance, because we don't let trainees go on work experience projects month 4, unless all that homework's been ticked off properly, because otherwise you won't be at a level where you're confident enough to deliver on a real life project. So it's the mentor is quite a vigorous role and quality assured role, because it really does check that, one, they're there to help you understand everything and make sure that you've got it, and sort of bring you along with the course, really. So it is it
makes sense. Yeah,
a solid role. Any other questions over here? It's been really great to catch up with you, Ada. Thank you so much for talking through. If we have any more questions in a minute, I'll just look through my questions and see if there was anything else.
Okay, thank you.
But no, I think we've covered everything off. So no more questions. So thank you for joining us. You can all go and enjoy your evenings now. But it's been fantastic to see you, and hopefully we'll catch up soon at an event, be it virtual or in person.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. Speak to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.